7 minutes left. Larry Bird follows his own shot. Oh, what a play!
There's Bird. Bird, 14 seconds, he got fouled. He hit the shot!
And I think it took me probably 3 days after a rookie camp. I found out that, hey, this league is nothing. I can play in this league and I will dominate in this league.
Larry Bird wasn't just great. He was disrespectfully great. A walking encyclopedia of humiliation, with a jumper so pure it could break hearts, ankles, egos, and defensive schemes in one motion. He didn't just dominate games, he owned them. Every possession felt like a chess match, except Larry was playing 3 moves ahead while everyone else was still learning the board. He'd hit game winners off one leg, drop 40 with his offhand, and throw no-look passes before no-look passes were even a thing. He didn't just outscore you. He outsmarted you, outworked you, and let you know exactly how it was going to happen. And then, when the game was on the line, he'd call his shot and let you suffer in real time. Trash talk? He invented the art form. But Bird's version wasn't just words, it was prophecy. He told you how, where, and when you'd lose, and then made it happen so casually, you almost felt like you helped him do it. This isn't just a mixtape. This is a full display of calculated chaos. Larry didn't play to entertain, he played to dominate. He made defenders question their confidence, coaches second-guess their scouting reports, and fans jump between awe and disbelief. These are the moments that made teammates shake their heads, opponents curse under their breath, and future Hall of Famers admit that sometimes there was just nothing you could do. The game winners, the trick shots, the steals, and the plays that were so precise, so disrespectful, you almost felt bad for the other guy. So buckle up, because this is Larry Bird at his cockiest, craftiest, and coldest. Larry Bird wasn't known for highlight dunks or skywalking rebounds, but what he was known for, outworking everyone on the floor. This play didn't start with some flashy setup. It wasn't drawn up for drama. It began like hundreds of others. Bird gets a decent look and lets it fly. Misses happen, even for legends. But what happened next? That's what made Larry different.
Car. Austin would like to cut this to a 1-point game. 7 minutes left. Larry Bird follows his own shot. Oh, what a play!
No hesitation, no sulking, just an instant reaction. He follows his shot, crashes through traffic, grabs the rebound, and puts it back up before anyone even realizes the ball didn't go in. It's not glamorous. It's not on most people's Bird highlight reels. But it should be, because this play wasn't about talent, it was about will. The desire to make it right, to get the job done, no matter how many steps it took. Bird didn't just hit miracle shots. He earned points most guys would give up on. This was a scorer cleaning up his own mess and making sure the defense paid double for letting him slip through. And the best part? He didn't say a word. No flex, no smirk. Just a quiet turn and back on defense like that's how the play was supposed to go all along. Because for Bird, it wasn't about the highlight, it was about the habit. He does the work and finishes the job. And make sure they remember it was you who did it. Every single time. Fast breaks are usually a race. You get out ahead, take it to the rim, maybe throw it down, maybe get fouled. Straightforward stuff. But Larry Bird never did straightforward. He was alone on the break. No one in front of him. Most players would have taken it straight to the cup, maybe drawn a foul, maybe kept it simple. But Bird wasn't wired for easy points. He was wired for style with spite. As he brought the ball up, the defenders were scrambling behind him. You could almost hear the crowd lean in, expecting something conventional. And then he stopped for another instant highlight. Mid-range jumper, clean as glass. No one even got close. He turned a basic solo fast break into a statement. A spinning mid-range dagger that said, I don't need the rim, I don't need pressure, I just need the ball. And that's what separated Bird from most guys who ran the break. He didn't just want 2 points. He wanted to do it his way, with rhythm, with confidence, and just enough flair to make sure the defender trailing behind knew you were never catching up anyway. There are players who rise to the occasion, and then there's Larry Bird, who got so bored of dominating normally that he had to start handicapping himself. This was one of those games, a road trip, a weaker opponent. Bird decided before tip-off that he was going to shoot the entire game, with his left hand. Not because he was hurt, not because of some strategy, but because, as he put it, he was saving his right hand for the Lakers. And the wildest part? He was serious. He dropped 20+ with his offhand that night. Floaters, layups, hook shots, but when the game got tight, when the moment called for something real, Larry did what he's best at.
with 3 seconds left. Timeout for Portland.
Clock winding down, game on the line, he pulls up like normal and buries it. No hesitation, no switching of different hands, just another bucket, just another flex. It wasn't about proving he could do it. It was about reminding everyone that he could do whatever he wanted. This wasn't a trick shot. This wasn't a novelty. This was Larry Bird tying a game in the clutch to force overtime because he simply felt like it. For the next moment, the game was tight. You could feel the tension across the entire arena. Everyone watching knew the ball was going to Larry Bird, the crowd, the bench, even the Suns' defenders. But knowing it and stopping it were two completely different things. Larry walked up the floor with that calm, almost bored expression on his face. The kind of look that didn't scream hero mode or give me the ball. It was quieter than that, more dangerous. It said, "This is over." He didn't rush, he didn't call for an ISO, he just got into position like it was business as usual. And then, he did something that didn't just silence the crowd, it rewrote the moment entirely.
That ball is going to have to put it right out. Max looking, loops it to Bird, a runner. It's good! It's good!
One leg, defender is just right there, and still, splash. He didn't fall to the ground. He didn't throw his arms up. He just turned and walked like he knew it was in the second it left his hand. That wasn't just a game winner, that was a message. Larry Bird didn't need balance, he didn't need space, he didn't even need 2 feet under him. He just needed the ball, the moment, and a chance to disrespect you while the clock ran out. And Phoenix? They weren't just on the losing end of a close game. They were background characters in a signature Bird highlight. The final seconds of a quarter don't always feel like a big deal, unless Larry Bird had the ball. That's when defenders got nervous, that's when benches stood up. Because Bird didn't treat the end of the clock like desperation, he treated it like an opportunity. The Celtics were setting up for the last shot. Everyone in the building was standing. The opposing team had done everything right up to that point, solid switches, hands up, nothing easy. But all it took was one slip, one breath too late. And if Larry was open, even if it was just a sliver, that was all he needed. What happened next didn't look like a textbook shot, but Larry never cared about textbooks.
Buckner gets the double team in half court. They find Bird. He's going to have to put it up. He does, and hits at the buzzer.
He's off balance, drifting sideways. The defender is draped over him, and it doesn't matter. He rises up, lets it go, and as the buzzer sounds, the ball drops through the net. No emotion, not even a celebration. Just another shot made by a man who never needed to tell you he was clutch. And a cold walk back to the bench like he didn't just sink something absurd. Because for Bird, that wasn't absurd, it was expected. You can play perfect defense, you can contest without fouling, you can force him into what looks like a low percentage look. But Bird had a way of making those the most dangerous shots of all. And that lean, that off-balance launch, that wasn't a flaw in the shot, that was the shot. Some players train their whole careers for the perfect form, squared shoulders, set feet, balanced release. Larry Bird respected all that, but sometimes he just didn't feel like following the rules. It was the final possession. Everyone knew who was getting the ball. The defender stayed glued to him, trying to deny the catch. But when Larry finally got free, he wasn't looking for space, he was already on the move. No time to stop, no time to gather. Just Bird, the ball, and instinct.
Dennis Johnson will inbound as the fans are on their feet. Larry Bird shakes free, three-pointer, got it!
He rises on one leg, leans into the shot mid-stride, and fires it from deep. Not just another bucket, but a game winner without any balance and no rhythm. Just pure confidence and touch. And here's the thing, he didn't throw up a prayer. He meant to take that shot. He chose it. Because Bird wasn't thinking, is this the right shot? He was thinking, this'll look good on the highlight reel. That's how dangerous he was. Most guys tried to create the perfect moment. Larry created chaos and made it beautiful. Larry Bird didn't need to break ankles to get by you. He just needed you to think for half a second. One fake, one head nod, one small hesitation, and suddenly you're chasing air while he's already rising up for the jumper. This play started simple. Bird on the wing. One defender in front, another shading over for help. Nothing fancy, nothing urgent, until it was too late. Because when Larry had you guessing, it was already over.
Bird with 8 seconds. Bird on the drive. The runner is good again. You're seeing a greater performance as you'll ever see.
He gives a slight jab, sends the first guy stumbling, and before the second defender can recover, he's up and over. Smooth, clean, automatic. No wasted movement, no panic, just patience. Bird didn't rush plays, he controlled them. He set the pace, made you react, and punished every single mistake. Even a twitch in the wrong direction was enough. And he didn't stare you down after the shot. Didn't need to. The shot going in was the statement. Everything else was just extra. Larry Bird in the post was like a surgeon in an operating room. Calm, focused, cold-blooded. You could send help if you wanted. Most teams did, but it rarely made a difference. This play started simple. Bird gets the ball on the block. 2 defenders close in. The smart money says force him to pass, trap the baseline, make someone else beat you. But the problem is, Larry didn't believe in smart money. He was the odds. He backed them down slow, took his time, felt every shift of pressure, every angle, every hand reaching just a bit too far. And then, he made his move.
Now Bird being played by Ainge on a switch, and Larry Bird is able to...
One spin, a bump, a lean. 2 defenders that could never hope to guard him, and the ball floating softly over both of them. No wasted motion, no wasted words. Just fundamentals executed at a level so high it felt unfair. Bird wasn't athletic in the way most stars were, but he didn't need to jump over you. He just needed to get you leaning. One twitch too far, one arm slightly out of position, and Bird would take advantage without hesitation. It was all footwork, timing, and feel. The kind of precision that didn't rely on luck, but on countless reps, perfect reads, and an understanding of the game that most players never came close to. Larry Bird didn't need to score to embarrass you. Sometimes, he could take over a game without saying a word, just by making the ball move faster than your brain could process. It was a fast break opportunity. The kind of situation where most players are thinking, do I lay it in? Do I pull up? Do I go for the highlight? But Bird already had his answer before he even caught the ball.
Swell's got it. 28 seconds. Bird slap pass to Archibald.
The ball touches his hands for maybe half a second, and he redirects it with a no-look flick right into a cutting teammate's hands for the easy finish. The defense didn't move because they never saw it coming. The crowd didn't react right away because they weren't sure what they just saw. That's how fast it happened. That's how clean it was. It wasn't about showing off, it was about timing, precision, and feeling. Bird made passes like that look effortless, but they weren't. They were the product of someone who saw the court like a chessboard and made moves 3 steps ahead. It was the kind of play that made you hit rewind, and then hit it again. Most guys wait for the offense to make a mistake, but Larry Bird, he forced them. His defense wasn't about vertical contests or swatting shots into the stands. It was about reading the floor like a novel he'd already written. The other team was setting up, trying to get into their motion offense. Nothing fancy, but Larry saw something. A lazy pass, a loose handle, a moment of hesitation. And when he saw it, he jumped on it like he'd been waiting all game for that exact frame.
We're in sudden death playoff at the Kemper Open. We'll update that story for you. On the turnover, Bird, the runner. And
Bird saw the pass coming, picked it off cleanly, and took off without hesitation, with no one to pass to and no need for fancy dribbles. All that was left was him, the ball, and a clear path to the basket. He takes it coast to coast with that stiff, straight-ahead gait, like he's jogging through a walkthrough. And then, a soft, easy finish off the glass. He didn't look back, didn't flex, didn't even speed up. Because when you know where the play's going before anyone else does, there's no need to rush. It wasn't just a steal. It was a prediction. And the fast break? That was the punchline. It was the kind of play that felt forgettable until you realized how few players could actually pull it off. No wasted motion, no highlight chasing. Just pure basketball intellect disguised as simplicity. And that's what made it hurt more for the other team. Because while they were still reacting to the turnover, Larry had already scored and moved on like it never even happened. Some players heat up, but Larry Bird, he went nuclear. It was one of the greatest single-game scoring performances in NBA history. 60 points, every way you could imagine. Threes, post-ups, foul line fadeaways, left hand, right hand, it didn't matter. The Hawks tried everything, rotations, doubles, even the occasional prayer. But Bird wasn't just hot, he was unbothered. He had hit so many ridiculous shots by this point. It wasn't about getting good looks anymore, it was about putting on a show. And then came this moment.
lead for Bird. They want him to keep scoring too.
Bird takes the jumper and hits it again.
has 54.
He fades and he twists his body mid-air but still buries it. It was the kind of shot you wouldn't even attempt in practice. But for Larry that night, it was just another bucket on the way to 60, and the worst part, the Hawks bench lost it. They couldn't stop laughing. Their own guys were falling out of their chairs because they knew. They knew it was hopeless. They were watching greatness unfold, and there was nothing they could do. That wasn't just domination, that was demoralization. And Bird did it with a grin, a shrug, and another jumper through the net. Some players beat you with speed, others with power, but Larry Bird? He beat you with patience and just enough disrespect to make you wish he'd dunked it instead. The ball swung to him on the wing. Nothing fancy. Just Bird, his man, and about 18 feet of hardwood. The defender was in position. He looked like he'd done everything right, but with Larry, playing honest defense just meant you were going to get embarrassed.
Let's get to Willis. Bird, great up fake.
One pump fake. Defender bites like it's his first day in the league. Bird casually steps through and lays it in, untouched, unbothered, and unfazed. No celebration, no trash talk, just a slow backpedal and maybe a look like, "That's the best you've got?" This wasn't just a scoring move. It was a film room classic. Something you'd watch in practice the next day with your coach shaking his head and the whole locker room trying not to laugh. Because Larry didn't need to blow by you. He just needed you to believe he might. And once you left your feet, he made sure you regretted it before you even landed. There's a kind of panic that sets in when you're guarding Larry Bird on the block. Not because you don't know what's coming, but because you do. He's not trying to trick you. He's trying to execute something so precisely that even when you're ready for it, you still can't stop it. The ball drops into Larry in the mid-post. His defender is crouched low, feet wide, eyes locked in. He knows Bird wants to spin. The scouting report said to stay grounded, don't fall for the shoulder fake, beat him to the spot. But standing in front of Larry Bird wasn't about reading the scouting report. It was about surviving it. You could be in perfect defensive position, and it still wouldn't matter. Larry had ways of creating space that weren't taught, they were felt. He didn't rush. He waited, felt the pressure on his back, shifted just enough to sell the fake, then spun into the lane like it was a routine drill.
6 giving away 3 inches to Bird, who's trying to post him up through the foul. Yes! And it counts!
The spin was tight, the fade was clean, the contact was obvious. And the shot? Right through the net like it was never in doubt. He didn't just make the bucket. He drew the foul, stared through the defender, and made sure they both understood this wasn't luck. It was punishment served slowly. That was Larry at his meanest. Not yelling, not flexing, just spinning away from the double team and burying a jumper in someone's face. The kind of play that made coaches stop calling for help. Because what's the point? You send one guy, you get scored on. You send 2, you get humiliated. This is the one that gets overlooked in the mixtapes. No trash talk, no buzzer, just vintage Larry Bird doing what he did best, reading, reacting, and ripping your heart out before you realized it was gone. He picks off the pass like he saw it coming 5 seconds earlier, because he probably did. And then he's off, pushing the break. No coast-to-coast explosion, no highlight dunk. Just a smooth, effortless glide into the lane and a textbook finish that made the whole thing look like a warm-up drill.
Very good point. Henderson broken up. There's Bird again. Larry Bird with a steal. Henderson back to Bird. Beautiful.
Every step was deliberate, every motion under control. Because Bird wasn't playing fast, he was playing right. And while other players tried to create chaos on the fast break, Bird brought calm. He made it look too easy, and that's what made it so devastating. Because when you got beat by Larry, it didn't just sting, it stuck with you. Every great player gets blocked. It happens. But what separates the greats from the legends is how they respond. Late game. Crowd on edge. The Celtics were looking for a bucket, and of course it was Bird who got the ball. He made his move, slow, deliberate, confident, and went up for the shot. But this time, it didn't go as planned. Someone met him at the rim, a clean block, and just for a second, the momentum shifted.
He's going to try to draw a foul.
It's blocked. And Seasting hit it off of a Detroit player. No, it is. Here's a disparity in the call. They're going to give the ball to Detroit. Bird steals it. Johnson, layup, Boston.
Bird didn't jog back. He didn't complain. He got back into it, snatched the ball right back like it owed him money, and zipped a pass to a teammate. You don't teach that. You don't draw it up. That was instinct, hunger, and spite, all in one possession. Most players get blocked and shrink. Bird got blocked and got even immediately. It was never about the miss, it was about the recovery. And for Larry, that recovery turned a bad play into a highlight and turned the opposing team into a cautionary tale. Larry Bird didn't care about being flashy. He cared about being better and making sure you knew it. Every dribble, every shot, every glance told you one thing: this man was in complete control. He didn't need speed, he didn't need hops. What he had was timing, grit, and a basketball mind sharper than anyone he shared the court with. He didn't just beat you, he dismantled you. Slowly, purposefully, quietly, he turned the game into theater and everyone else into extras. And when he talked, it wasn't trash, it was truth with a countdown. These weren't just highlights, they were warnings, snapshots of a player who saw the game clearer, felt it deeper, and played it cleaner than anyone else. He'd steal it, score it, spin you around, and smile walking back like it was nothing. Because to Larry, it was nothing, just another night. Just another victim. Just another spot on the highlight reel. So if you were lucky enough to see him play, you know. And if you weren't, well, now you do. That was Larry Bird. He was cold when it mattered, clever in every moment, and ruthless in the way only legends can be.